What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video, a brand new acid trip story. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do, and also don't forget to follow my new Instagram account at GBLN420. My old one got banned, so we gotta run the followers back up. Hey, follow me right now. Links at the very top of the description, or just go to Instagram and type in GBLN420. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's dive right into it. So, this happened literally just a few days ago, this past Saturday. And for those of you guys who follow me on Twitter, you probably already know that this happened, or I think I even posted a picture from this on Instagram. But for Halloween weekend, I decided to have a little bit of fun. My girlfriend and I, who we're going to refer to as Ashley for the rest of the story, we decided that we wanted to go get a little Airbnb up in the woods and drop some acid. And that's exactly what we ended up doing. I ended up booking an Airbnb up in Michigan, and the particular part of Michigan we went to, Traverse City, which is a super nice area that's pretty far up north. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't done much in Michigan since I was very young, because I used to have family that kind of lived up in that area. They don't live up there anymore, but since going back up there, ever since they got legal weed, I'm just gonna say it now, Michigan's a kind of slept-on state, dude. They have pretty good concentrates from what I got. The flour's okay, but the concentrates up there are nice, and they have pretty good prices for everything. So, hey, shout out Michigan. It's also cheap up there. I'm talking like, I went out to drink and went bowling with like 4 people, including myself. The whole night cost us less than $200 total, which was crazy. So, I mean, Michigan's if you're thinking of looking for somewhere to go vacation where you could smoke a bunch of weed, Michigan's not too shabby. But, all right, back on topic here. So, we decided to rent out this house on Airbnb with pretty much the sole intent of just tripping in it. We didn't really have anything else planned for this whole weekend, and we didn't do anything else too eventful or really worth talking about much except for this acid trip. So we woke up on Saturday morning and we're chilling in this beautiful little Airbnb house that we've got. And we got a pretty reasonable deal on it, I'd say. The normal price on this house was like $300 and something. But because it's getting cold up there, the price was slashed down to only $190 per night, which was a fire deal. We were like, hey, that's almost 50% off, dude. We've got to take this deal. So obviously we booked this house. And we wake up on Saturday, and it's a beautiful day outside. It was the only day that it wasn't scheduled to rain during our entire time up in Michigan. We were checking the weather, trying to find which day would be best to trip, and it was basically Saturday or bust. And I've done a very fair amount of acid, but Ashley has not. She's only tripped twice, once with me and once a while before when she was younger. So she isn't nearly as experienced with me. So when I'm with her, you know, we kind of start out a little slower on the acid. Normally I'll come into these trip videos and I'll be like, oh yeah, I ate fucking 2-3 tabs right off the bat, you know? But I sometimes really enjoy parachuting. And the acid that we did in this trip was actually the same exact stuff that I did in my most other recent acid story back in Chicago in August. I've been kind of getting back into the swing of tripping lately, and I'm not going to say, I'm not going to lie, I fucking love it. It's fantastic, dude. I really missed it. And I think in moderation, acid is great, right? So, we decide to wake up on this Saturday, and we look at the weather, and we're like, hey, it's fantastic. It's beautiful outside. It's going to be clear all day, it looks like. Let's trip. It's the only day of this entire weekend that it's not going to rain. So we start out with just half a tab of the same acid that we did in Chicago. And this shit is fire. I've been saving this for a while. I've had this acid for probably like 4 months now. Also, do you guys hear that clicking in the background, dude? It's a bottle of water I have. Hold on, let me dispose of this. All right, we disposed of that water, but back on topic here. So we each started off with half a tab around, I'd say 10:30 or 11 in the morning, almost right after we'd woken up. And the day prior, we'd gone to this little toy store that we passed and grabbed a few things to do while we were tripping. We got a coloring book and we got 2 puzzles, and then we got this weird like thinking putty that we thought would be kind of interesting to get. A little bit off topic, but while we were in this store, there was for some reason this group of people that came in barefoot as fuck, and it was kind of it was a little sketchy, dude. They looked feral, so I was a little hesitant in this store, but I quickly made my purchase and left. It's probably why I got 2 puzzles. We didn't even open the second one, but I wanted to get out so quickly. I just didn't have time to put back the first one. We had to go. I bought both, right? But back on topic here. So, we're chilling at this house, and we'd both popped half a tab. We're hanging out, waiting for it to kick in, and we're chilling out in the backyard. We're hanging out for a little bit, and once we go back inside, we're sitting downstairs, and the acid really starts to hit me. I'd only taken half a tab, so I wasn't really expecting to feel much, except for maybe, that just some light visuals, I wasn't expecting any serious, real effects or anything noticeable beyond maybe some color enhancement. But I was caught really off guard because maybe an hour after dosing, we're sitting on this couch, and I look over to Ashley, and I'm like, yo, how do you feel right now? And she's like, I'm fucking tripping. And I sit there, and we'd just been watching a little bit of Netflix. We were watching the Great British Baking Show, which I'm going to tell you right now is amazing to watch when you're tripping. Not because I give a shit about baking or know anything about it, but because the shit they make, it just looks cool. They put all these designs on the shit, and they're British. Their accents are funny when you're tripping balls. So, we're watching the Great British Baking Show, and she tells me she's tripping pretty hard, and I'm kind of looking around the room to gauge how I'm feeling. And how I continued to gauge myself throughout the trip was I really kept looking at this one picture on the wall that was of this dog with sunglasses on, but he had all these colorful little shapes on him. He had like a bunch of hearts of different colors and squares and rectangles all along his body, like he was wearing a big necklace or something. I kept looking over at this weird dog painting, and it looked fantastic. None of the shapes were the same. All the colors were like glowing. They were so bright they almost looked neon on this picture, even though they really weren't. And I realized then and there, I was like, fuck me. I'm tripping way harder than I expected to be at this point. I mean, yeah, even prior to doing this, engaging myself, I'd felt a bit of the come up, and I felt that kind of almost that hot chocolate feeling pumping through my veins that like, hey, here we go, But I didn't realize how hard I was actually tripping until I looked away from the screen. Once I did that, I couldn't stop. I was looking around the room, looking at the ceiling, and I realized that the ceiling in this basement we're sitting in, because this was a 1-story house, right? You could kind of count this as 2 stories if you count a basement as a story, but it was like a kind of ranch-style house, and then it had a little basement. We're chilling in the basement, but it was kind of finished. It was a bit of an iffy, kind of scuffed basement, though, because the ceiling was, like, caving in, and I didn't really notice this until I was tripping. I look up, and half of the panels in this ceiling are, like, dislocated and bent downwards, and I don't think it was just because I was tripping, because I looked at it after I stopped tripping, and it was just as fucked. But I notice it while I'm tripping, and that makes it extra fucked. So I point out to Ashley, and I'm like, yo, this fucking ceiling's caving in. We paid almost $200 a night, and we can't even get a stable ceiling. But whatever, dude. It wasn't caving in then and there, so I wasn't too worried. I kind of stopped looking around the room, and I started focusing on the Great British Baking Show again. And we watched that shit for another solid hour. I'm gonna admit that this trip is pretty tame. There was nothing too crazy that really happened. We just watched a shitload of British people bake a fuckload of pastries. That's the majority, but not all of it. So we decide maybe an hour after this that we should redose once again with another half tab. I had brought a total of 6 tabs with me on this trip, and I ended it with only a tab and a half left. I don't really know the distribution of who took the extra half. I assume it was me. Could have been her. I don't know. We were both tripping balls by the end of this. So we take another half tab maybe an hour later, and that's when shit really got fun. Maybe another 45 minutes goes by after that, and, we kind of stopped watching the Great British Baking Show to take a little break. We got up, and in the other room in this Airbnb, it was kind of sick. Downstairs, they had a shuffleboard. So we're playing. I've never in my life played shuffleboard, believe it or not. So we're playing this shit, and I'm not going to lie, it's super fun, dude. Shuffleboard is a blast when you're tripping. I kept sliding it way too hard. It went flying off every time. But my God, did I have fun doing it. So we're playing shuffleboard for a little bit. And I remember I'm looking down at the table. And on shuffleboard, they have these almost like grains of sand on the table. And I just remember looking at them, and they started moving. And I realized as I was playing that this second half tab I took was hitting me like a fucking truck. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh shit, dude. I'm full on tripping now. I don't have to look anywhere to question this anymore. I'm fucked up right now. I'm feeling fantastic. I remember I'm looking down at the table for a minute, and Ashley asked me, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fantastic. You don't have to ask me if I'm okay. I'm feeling great. I'm just tripping balls. And she's laughing a little bit. She's like, okay, great news. You know, let's play some fucking shuffleboard. So we're playing our shuffleboard. We play a little bit more. And I decide that I want to go try to roll a blunt. Now, normally I'm good at rolling blunts, but I can't roll for shit when I'm tripping. Like, it's just difficult. I don't know if it's the way they feel. I don't know if it's I just have a hard time. It takes me a couple tries. Like, yeah, I'll get it done. I'll roll a blunt, but I'll usually fuck up my first blunt when I'm tripping. And this was no exception. I don't know why these tabs were hitting me so hard on this particular day, but I was only one tab deep and I was off my fucking rocker. So I'm sitting there at this desk and I got this blunt and I'm just like, no, dude, it's not going to work. And I realized that the paper was sticking all to my fingers because I grinded up most of the weed with my bare hands. Even though I had a grinder right next to me, I just forgot about it. I was so obsessed with looking at the weed and I was tripping so fucking hard that I'm just grinding this shit up, right? I'm going crazy. So I completely butcher the first blunt. No chance of recovery on that. I start gutting the second one after I went upstairs and washed my hands. But I was washing my hands for a good 15 fucking minutes because I got caught lacking in the mirror. Those of you guys who have tripped before, you know that you don't want to get caught in the mirror because you'll just start staring at yourself. You'll almost start roasting yourself. I'm standing there looking in the mirror and I'm just like, fuck, man. I need to fucking shave, man. And then I noticed that my sideburns were too long. I was like, fuck, dude. My sideburns are a little too long, man. I gotta trim them. I'm sitting there looking in the mirror, and I'm acting like I'm about to go on the fucking runway. I'm like, fuck, dog. Like, dude, I've got some imperfections. Like, shit. I gotta fix this. Eventually, I snap out of it, and I go back downstairs, and it's time to roll this second blunt. This time around, I realized that I needed to use the grinder. So I used that, and I was smart enough to use that. And I rolled this second blunt just fine. I say just fine in loose terms. It's more of like a just fine by my acid standards. But the shit smoked, and that's all that mattered. We rolled this second blunt, and we went outside, and we sat out back and smoked it. And the backyard of this house was really, really nice. They had this patio with this little bench on it. This little, like, table with these two benches, right? And you could sit, and they just had all these trees in the backyard. And because we came right at the end of October, they were all different colors. They were like red and yellow, and they had like all different types. Like there was a big forest right behind the house, right? Like all around the house pretty much. It was, you know, kind of some in the woods type shit. So there's just beautiful trees and leaves falling all around us, and it was amazing to look at while we were tripping. At this point, I was really starting to feel the body high heavily because when you go outside, I feel like you notice that more. The visuals are a little more, I don't know. I feel like the visuals are more intense when you're inside, honestly, because there's just more shit going on. There's so many different little patterns and things around you. Like, I look around my room right now, and there's so many different things I could focus on, you know? I got the fucking posters on the wall. I got my monitors. I got my desk. I got my computer. But when I go outside, it's like the visuals calm down. I get almost that euphoria, that like, the fresh air, the breeze, the colors. And that's what I really started feeling out here. I was feeling good. And I'm smacking this blunt, and maybe the blunt contributed to that feeling. But I was just getting such a rush of like, fuck yeah, I feel fantastic. So we smoked this blunt, and we go back inside of the house, and we chilled outside for a good 30 minutes or so. Even after we finished smoking, we were just hanging out there. We went and put it out in this little fire pit they had in the yard, and we walked back inside, and we redosed once again. Another half tab each. At this point, we're each at a tab and a half in. And Ashley's having a blast, you know? I'll admit, for someone that hasn't tripped much, she's a trooper with this shit. It's pretty impressive, you know? Hey, what can I say? I picked the right one, right? So we go back inside, and we go upstairs, and I grab another tab of acid, and I rip it in half for us, and we each redose, you know? We're chilling out, and we decide, fuck it, hey, let's start the puzzle. So we bust out the first puzzle, and this one was only 200 pieces. I feel like an idiot that we made the little progress that we did on this. But when you start tripping, your pattern recognition is just obliterated. You're not going to notice any. It all looks like it goes together, bro. I'm picking up pieces with no resemblance to one another, and I'm like, yeah, honestly, this looks perfect for one another. Let's get it in there. And it just wasn't going to happen. We spent probably a good 20-25 minutes on this puzzle, just sorting pieces and getting frustrated. We put maybe a total of 6 to 8 pieces together, and we just said, yeah, fuck this, let's go watch British people bake again. So we go back downstairs, and I shit you not, right after redosing, we stay on the couch for probably 4 or 5 hours just watching the Great British Baking Show. And this last half-tab redose, or second to last redose that we did, destroyed me. I'm talking sent me to Jupiter. I remember sitting on this couch, and the faces on the TV out of nowhere became so vivid and like almost realistic that they looked 3D. It looked as if the faces were coming out of the TV, but the rest of the things around the people on screen were stuck on screen, if that makes any sense at all. It looked insane. I felt like I could see every single pore in all the hosts of this show's face, but I could barely see the fucking grass in the background or any of that. It was a really insane thing that, like, I mean, yeah, I've gotten that effect sometimes when I'm tripping before, but the visuals on this were really unique. It wasn't your typical, like, just color enhancement and stuff. The visuals on these tabs make stuff really, like, almost sharpened. It's really cool, and it's something that I haven't experienced a ton while I'm tripping, but I fucking loved it. It made watching stuff on TV so much cooler and more entertaining. So we're watching this for literally 4 hours, and we DoorDash ourselves some hibachi. I know a lot of people say they can't eat when they're tripping, but both of us fucking can, dude. Both of us, when we're tripping, we can eat. So we order some hibachi, and we're slapping on this, and I didn't eat much of it. Really, I only had the rice, but we hadn't eaten shit all day long. We woke up and ate nothing all day, so we were like, you know, it's probably wise to at least get a little bit of dinner in. I'm chilling out and I'm feeling good. At this point, the sun is well down. There's really no more going outside, and we didn't really want to do much outside because in Michigan at this point, it's freezing. So for the rest of the night, we stuck to taking dabs. For this trip, I bought an e-nail, and it was only like $120 or something. It was a titanium e-nail. Fairly good deal, so I bought it just for this weekend to use, because I didn't feel like getting a terp timer and a torch and all that. E-nail just made it easier, you know? So I grabbed us an e-nail for the weekend. We were taking some fat dabs off this. I remember I had some diamonds in sauce, I had some butter, and as I was saying earlier, Michigan prices are fire. Like, I was paying $30 or $35 a gram for a lot of this shit, and it got us ripped, you know? Dabs, when you're tripping in particular, they really make the visuals go crazy. And I remember we dropped a fat-ass dab in the banger after we finished our dinner, and oh my god, it gave me such a head rush that I got up for a minute. I went upstairs and grabbed the water. I'm sitting there and I'm like, shit, dude. It literally feels like my brain just went to Zathura. Like I just opened the door and there's Jupiter. There it is. I'm waving to all the aliens. I see them. There they are. It was insanity. I almost got this, like, I don't know how to describe, like a tunnel vision effect. I got so lightheaded from this dab. And then after that tunnel vision effect went away, it only lasted for like a minute. The lightheadedness kind of went away and the visuals just went crazy at this point. I didn't really understand how fire these tabs were until I got this dab in me. I go back downstairs and I'm looking at the pictures on the wall, and it looks like they're merging together almost. All of these pictures, the colors are like coming together, and it's just creating this like mesh, this absolute mess that if I had epilepsy, I'd definitely be fucked on the floor right now type of mess. But my god, the colors were so bright and vibrant and just melting together. I could see what the pictures were in the frames of them, but the colors were just overlapping and so overwhelming. It looked like the whole wall had just turned into a big picture. It was sick. Everything looked so connected and cohesive. It's so hard for me to describe, but colors were like flowing together. Textures were flowing together. It looked like everything had the same texture almost. Kind of like a painting. it was such a crazy visual experience that I remember for a solid 30 to 45 minutes, Ashley kept asking me if I was good every few minutes because I was just looking everywhere but at the show we were watching. I just kept looking around the room and being like, yo, this is fucking insane. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was amazing. After calming down and kind of chilling out from that good 45-minute visual just fuckery, I chilled out and we watched a little bit more of the Great British Baking Show, which honestly, I cannot emphasize enough how fantastic this show is when you're on drugs. Like, if you are tripping, please watch this show, guys. You're gonna enjoy it, I promise. So, we're chilling out and we decide, let's redose one more time. Let's get it cracking. You know, at this point, I'm full swing tripping balls. I want to see where I can go. So we go upstairs, and I'm ripping this half tab, and here's where I believe I might have accidentally dosed closer to a tab. See, like I said earlier, I only had a tab and a half left, but I brought 6 tabs up with me, right? I only had a tab and a half left at the end, which means we took 4.5 tabs. That means that at some point, an extra half was redosed, because we only redosed 4 times total, a half tab each time, right? Or, not 4, 2, pardon me. A total of 4 tabs, like, for each redose. There's a half tab unaccounted for. What I think happened, I don't know if this is what happened, but what I think is I had my tabs kind of stacked up on the table. I'd separated them all one by one earlier. And I think I might have just grabbed one that might have been pre-ripped and, like, double stacked and taken it. I don't really know. That's my best guess, but I think that might have happened at this point, because after this last redose, I was gone. And I remember maybe another hour, an hour and a half passed of us just sitting there watching YouTube videos on the couch, chilling out. And we got back into the Great British Baking Show. But once again, I was tripping so hard that I wasn't even watching the show. And Ashley asked, she was like, "Are you still tripping like that?" And I was like, I'm probably tripping the hardest I've been this whole time. The visuals, once again, repeated that effect from earlier where the whole room looked like a painting. Almost like it all had this same texture over it. It looked like everything had like almost everything was made of cloth. It was a really, really sick effect that's so hard for me to describe, but I fucking loved it, and I couldn't stop looking at stuff just all around me. I wanted to look at everything. I wanted to look at the plant. I wanted to look at the ceiling. I wanted to look at the fucking door. I didn't care what it was. It all looked dope. So, she asked me, she's like, "Are you still tripping that hard?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm tripping balls." And she's like, "Oh, like, I'm not really tripping that hard. I'm kind of coming down a little bit." And that is what makes me say I think I might have accidentally taken that extra half here. Because we were on 2 entirely different levels at this point, but we were supposedly to have taken around the same amount. So I believe that's what happened to that missing half tab, but that's just my theory. But either way, I'm fully sent. I'm full sails ahead at this point. I want to take another dab, and we decide let's take 2 back to back. We had 3 strains with us. We had Gorilla Butter, or Gorilla Cheese, Gorilla Butter, something like that. We had Party Time, and then we had some other shit. Oh, what was the name of it? Fuck me. I don't know. It was fire. But either way, we had some good-ass shit. So we take a fat dab of this Diamonds in Sauce. I rip this shit. I get up. Ashley scoots over and rips this shit. We clear this dab. And after that first one, it's time for the second one. We do back-to-backs. We do the Party Time for the second one, because, hey, it's fucking party time. And after that second one, I am destroyed. I'm annihilated. I, honest to God, needed a breath of fresh air. So I suggested to Ashley that I go look in our rental car for a disposable that we'd lost earlier. She's like, "Okay, you know, I'll wait for you at the door." So I go out there and look for this fucking disposable, and I can't find it for the life of me. I can't do it. She's standing there like I'm coming home from war. She's got like a blanket wrapped around her, dude. It's like I'm walking in and I'm a World War II vet, dude. She's waiting at the door for me, dude, as if there's a great winter storm coming. And I'm looking through the car. I'm trying so hard to find this disposable, and I just can't, which we found it the next day in the car, but I was tripping balls. So I come back to the door, and I have to let her down with the news. I tell her, "Listen, I couldn't find the disposable. The other one we have is dying, so we need to act fast, because when I'm tripping, I like to smoke things. I like to hit a disposable, you know? Look at the cool smoke coming out. I'm tripping balls. Looks sick." So we go back downstairs, and we're looking through the couch, and we just can't find shit. After being unable to find it, we're like, "Shit, man. I don't know what to do. We should just go lay in bed, we should go upstairs. So we decided to head upstairs and we lay in bed and we pretty much spent the rest of the night just in bed tripping fucking balls, having a hoot. We're not going to get into too much detail there, but either way, it was a fantastic trip and I think we can leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed this trip report kind of story. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, gamers.